Welcome everybody. I'm very much looking forward actually to do the next presentation on stage instead of this digital version, maybe on stage with augmented reality, who knows. So today we focus on how we drove digitalization in the Erste Group Bank. So my name is Michiel van den Berg. I'm leading the head of Group HR strategic projects. And I'm currently focusing on further digitalization, automation of HR services, analytics, and data quality management. The Erste Group is a bank focusing on financial services in Central and Eastern Europe. We have about 47,000 employees across 7 countries. And we are very decentralized from our governance structure. When we started the project in the Erste Bank, we had already a digital platform for our customers, which we called George. It's a very modern and very nice platform for offering banking services to our clients. So then in HR, we were thinking we need something similar, modern for our employees and for our managers. And we named our platform Emma. So Emma is positioned as being our most modern HR platform in the Erste Group, and the key focus of Emma is to provide role-based digital HR services to employees. We wanted to harmonize and standardize our HR processes and data, and we choose SAP SuccessFactors as the single group platform across all our countries. We started out with our journey, our preparation phase in 2017. Our situation was that we had over 50 HR applications across 4 countries. We stopped counting after 4 countries. We had over 36 very highly localized HR processes, 36 processes which were in scope of our project. And only about 40% of our employees in scope had access to ESS or MSS services, while others were using paper, Excel, and other tools. And we had no HR services through mobile. So our objectives that we formulated was to really get one platform for HR services for all employees, regardless of place and location, to have harmonized processes across all the countries, and we have about 130 legal entities in the Erste Group, to simplify the IT infrastructure, and to have a good experience and similar experience for any employee, whether you are in a small village or in the capital city. Everybody should have access to the same kind of HR services. So we started our journey in January 2018, and let me tell you a bit about our journey and what we did during the journey. So we started actually with the first 9 months with a series of design workshops, and on purpose we did the design workshops with business owners instead of the experts, because we saw that our experts are not making decisions that impact actually the entire organization, and the business owners in HR, so the heads of a shared service center, they would be able to make such decisions. But we also saw, because we were highly diversified within the Erste Group, so we said, let's have a look at the market, let's have a look at other shared service centers, what they are doing. And because if we take a process from them, it means it works, it's a proven practice. So we selected processes that were from other shared service centers, and we asked our business owners, can this process work for us? Can we simplify it, or do we need to make slight changes? And this is how we did the design actually of all our processes across all the countries and entities. In parallel, we ran workshops for employees and managers to help them experience from where they are today to what they will get when Emma will be live. So we had our entities that were using paper, and we had self-service, and for everybody there was a distance to where Emma will be. So we talked with them where they are today and how do we get you and what do you need to be able to fulfill your needs and services you expect from HR with Emma. Unfortunately, the COVID situation disrupted this series of workshops, but throughout the project, we did a lot of them, and they helped a lot also in change and communication management. One of the principles that we set in our project is that SAP SuccessFactors or Emma will be the master for all data, including the maintenance of salary data. There's only one country where we at the moment have an exception, but basically it means Emma or SAP SuccessFactors is the master, and our payroll system, which is an SAP on-premise system in most countries, is the slave, and there only the gross net calculation is run. Because of our highly localized situation, we had to do many integration cycles to make sure that our integration to the respective payroll systems was up and running at a level of quality that we could go live. Then one major effort for us was also data migration. So we said if SAP SuccessFactors is a greenfield application actually for us, how do we get the data from on-premise to the cloud and actually start with the best quality data that we can get? So we did a lot of full data migration cycles to actually find out all the inconsistencies that we had on the on-premise system, clean them before actually we went to the go live in the cloud with SAP SuccessFactors. And last but not least is we focused on during the project on the target operating model on all the aspects. So we focused on, do we need new skills for our employees or not? Do we need new roles for our employees or not? And one of the things that we took was we moved the maintenance and innovation improvements of HR services into the hands of HR. So we have in our team about 90% of the people that maintain SAP SuccessFactors, that do the configuration, they are HR people. They sit in the HR department, and only 10% of our team sits in the IT department. So that was a big change for us in how we operate IT services or HR services with IT applications. Our decision-making process had to be changed. We had to change partially our organization. The way we do innovation and continuous improvement had to change because we were going from a very local way of improving now to actually a global way of our improvement of HR services. So what we did during the project also was to communicate a lot on the areas where we have big changes coming in, and used a lot of the time to explain these changes. But we also communicated on the things that stay actually the same and where minor changes are happening. So how did we land in 2020? So we didn't plan the lockdown into our project plan, and the lockdown actually happened 2-3 weeks before our planned pilot go live on April the 6th. We managed the pilot go live during the lockdown in the way that we wanted to have it, but we saw a huge impact on the remaining plan. So we had scheduled a big bang go live in 4 countries, 130 entities, about 45,000 employees in June, but we were not able to make this happen, and we had to redesign our go live plan. So we went to a waved approach with go lives in June, August, and October. Unfortunately, we have been able to bring the go lives according to this new plan. We had actually scheduled real classroom trainings for the HR administration payroll because of the huge impact on their day-to-day work, and to have, let's say, dry execution of process, and we have very nice exercises prepared. But due to the lockdown, we have not been able to do any classroom training. And what we see is now after the go live that we need much more time in support and Q&A for the people to help them work in the new environment. Also for the business partners, we planned a lot of interaction by helping them how to communicate with managers. Also this we had to change, that we had a huge impact, and therefore also adoption, I think, is going forward, but less fast as maybe we could have done if we would have been able to do the classroom trainings. And we prepared very interactive videos and case studies for our managers that are basically providing them the opportunity to do an hiring process, for example, or a change of contract in Emma without actually impacting the data, and then afterwards they can repeat the same thing in Emma, but in real life with real data. And during the project, it was very important for us. We had the SAP Preferred Success as a service and our customer engagement support team from SAP. And especially during the COVID-19, which was put a heavy strain on our project team, we were very happy that also SAP very much speeded up their commitment and competence to help us get through basically the last steps, our last miles for the go live. They really built up a good team that helped us solve very quickly any bugs and incidents that we still faced or faced after go live, so that we could solve them really quickly. And they set up a good infrastructure for us that we could be communicating very directly to product experts and engineering teams, so that our team had also the confidence that any problem they faced, they had the right experts next to them to solve the problem. That was a very exciting year, this 2020. So what did we achieve? And so our objective was to have one group platform and decommission any applications that we have in scope. So we were not able to decommission all 50 because some of these have been out of scope. It will be our next roadmap, but we decommissioned all the applications that we wanted to decommission. We reduced the IT cost, not to the extent that we wanted, but we landed very close to the savings that we wanted to achieve. And from the 36 diversified processes, we landed on 19 harmonized processes across all countries and 130 legal entities. And we have a similar experience now for all employees and managers, but we see that the satisfaction with the experience that we now offer is different from people that came from paper to Emma. They have a very high level of satisfaction. The employees that were used to employee self-service and management self-services, for them, the step was much smaller and they had actually higher expectations. So we still have to improve our services to actually meet these higher expectations. For the next years, we will focus on the data management. Like we want to have fully automated data quality management so that we know that data in SuccessFactors and, for example, SV Payroll at any minute of the day is fully equal and at the best standard. And this one we want to have automated. We focus now on analytics and advanced reporting topics. We will enhance our Emma system with the telemanagement system. So we started with recruitment, onboarding, employee central, and learning management, and we'll continue with performance, succession, career, compensation. As mentioned, we need to keep improving the experience that we bring with digital services to our employees. So we will keep focusing on simplifying our processes and services, getting paperless in all countries, and we have 2 more countries that we need to onboard on Emma. And we will further keep focusing on reducing the complexity in our IT infrastructure. So I think, Jeff, we can now go to the questions, if any have been posted in the chat. So happy to answer any open questions or discussion points.
Yeah, no, thank you, Michelle. That was a great presentation. Truly great transformation story. And I see that we did get a few questions in the chat. And if anyone does have a question, please enter them directly in the chat. We'll try to answer as many as possible. So we'll start. I see there's one about the way that you had to change the approach because of COVID. Can you talk a little bit more about that and kind of what influenced that change and how you responded to that?
In the Erste Group, we had not, we didn't really have MS Teams up and running when the COVID started. So our digital infrastructure to communicate and work across borders was very limited during the project. Therefore, we had our project team every second week on the same location, and every other week, let's say, on their regular working location. And this was not possible anymore due to the lockdown. So we had to rethink how do we keep the people connected? How do we make sure that the people working on data migration sit together, work together, although they cannot really sit together anymore? And how do we do that without having an MS Teams in place to moderate these discussions? And second big impact was how do we bring confidence to the HR payroll administrators that they can work successfully with SuccessFactors and run the payroll in the SAP on-premise system. And they had a lot of questions, and they were very afraid that they would do things wrong. And in a classroom, you are able to manage emotions very good and pay attention to those people. And remote, everybody sits behind a screen and cannot share a screen. And so this made let's say, building the confidence that we are able to provide a good payroll service, for example, on the same level after go live as before go live. It took us time to build this confidence. I think this was one of the biggest impacts we had due to COVID.
Right. Yeah, no, it sounds like it was a big digital transformation journey, kind of one that maybe was forced upon due to the pandemic, but I think it sounds like the mindset of everyone sort of shifted and became more focused on digital connections and trying to make that work as best as possible. So yeah, that's great. And I know you utilize SAP Preferred Success. Can you talk a little bit about how that helped you kind of stay on track, or at least keep things moving in the right direction?
Yeah, we already had a very intensive cooperation with SAP, with the engagement and product teams, and that really helped us in discussing the complex problems or figuring out how the application works in the full detail. And it's so if we encountered a problem that we could not solve ourselves or together with the consultant partner that we used, we actually had almost an instant communication with the right people inside SAP to very quickly find the right solution to drive for or help us think into the right direction. And I think the speed of the response was very, very helpful.
That's great. Yeah, no, I know SAP Preferred Success is they're there to have your back in case of anything happens, and the pandemic is, one of the worst things that can, but it's good to know that they were responsive and were able to help out. So another question here, see came through is, could you elaborate a bit on what the on what systems that you plan to use to automate data quality management? I know you mentioned that in this slide here.
Mm-hmm. So we bring in an automated way the data from SuccessFactors and also the payroll system to a technically it's called like an Impala database. So the data is put on this database, and there we use tools like KNIME actually mostly to measure if the data is the same, consistent in the right formats, if there would be happening a transformation, that this transformation of data from SuccessFactors to SAP happened in the right way. So it's this is the data quality management that we do, and what we are building up now also is that the users that actually maintain the data, they have their personalized reports. So if I do today 50 hirings, 3 contract changes, and a termination, that I have in my dashboard all green light, so I see an orange light. If I see an orange light, I can zoom actually basically in on the data that maybe I did maintain in the wrong way, or I missed something, so that immediately I can make an update at the end of my working day or by the start of the next working day on the mistakes I made or that just occurred in the data. And so we are building up this automation and data quality management. So we bring data from SAP and SuccessFactors into a separate database, and there we use tools like KNIME, basically to help us automate the data quality management.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's great. So another question here is, can you talk a bit more about the HR Golden Record solution? That's another one that's mentioned on this slide. Just what that is.
The HR Golden Record solution is saying, this is the HR data, like the organization data, the positions, employment contract data. And we in HR are responsible for this data. And we make sure that the data, when it is used in a third-party application, like our core banking system or the identity management system or any other application, we make sure that the data that we maintain is going to be perfect and lands perfectly in the third-party application. And so the HR Golden Record solution basically defines the data that we are responsible for and defines how this data is traveling within our company to the right third-party application.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see what other questions we have here. There's one about you mentioned the design workshop with business owners and not experts. So are you referring to non-HR users versus HR users when you refer to the design workshop?
No, the business owners, I mean also the HR people. So they were we have a HR shared service center per country. So we took the heads of the shared service center for HR to help us design the workshops, and we didn't take the experts in the payroll or the experts in the organization management to help us design the processes. Of course we validated with them what we do if we don't overlook things, but the real design was actually done with the heads of the units. And I call these the business owners.
Okay, makes sense. So I see another question here. With creating one platform for HR services, what are kind of the top implications for HR staff by bringing everything together?
One of the implications that we have is that when we do now an improvement of our process, we can pilot it in one country, but at the end it impacts all countries. So that means that any change is actually, we have to make sure that we communicate that to everybody in a proper way and have immediately everybody trained across all the countries and entities. So this is one of the impacts for our HR staff, that the change is actually much faster because now ideas come in from all countries, improvements come in from all HR colleagues, and they impact immediately everybody. So it's not anymore the idea in one country impacting just one country. It is now ideas from 8 countries impacting 8 countries. So the speed of improvement and the steps forward is much faster. So there is the HR staff needs to adapt faster than they were used to in the past years. I think this is the biggest impact that we see.
Okay. And I think that definitely speaks to kind of the overall experience. I think I know I think it was your third slide where you kind of compare the current system in place for your customers versus for your employees. And I think it's a really interesting slide because it shows how important it is to give employees that great experience, just like you would your customers. because those employees are the ones giving that experience to the customer, so they need a good experience themselves. So I think that's a really great thing to see, that there is improvement there. Let's see what other questions we have here. So there's a question here about plans to lift on-premise payroll to the cloud in the foreseeable future. Do you know if that's something that is in the works, or whether that's something you want to mention? Up to you. But if it is, definitely it looks like someone who's interested in knowing if that is part of the plan.
Yeah, we put on our roadmap that in 2022 we will start with an analysis what to do with our payroll on premise. And of course, one of the options is payroll to the cloud. So we are not against payroll in the cloud, also with the workers' council, we don't have a problem there. So this is for sure one of the options. But so we will evaluate the possible options and see what is best for us. But 2022 we use for analysis. And then we will also see when we actually start with this project. But that we want to move out of our current SAP payroll system is yes, we want.
Okay, makes sense. And having that sort of core center of data that you've implemented now, I think it's a great start to getting to the next step of moving to cloud payroll, if that is the direction that you decide to go in. Yes. Let's see if there are any other questions that came through. I know we're close to running out of time here. And for those of you that, if you haven't seen in the chat, I did post a link to the slides if you're interested. Make sure that you click the link now or copy it, because once the session is over, you won't be able to access the chat history. So feel free to go into that right now, or copy for your records. See if there's any last minute questions. I think that's it for the questions. Any parting words, Michelle? Any last pieces of advice for people looking to move to the cloud and bring their HR processes together?
Learn as much as you can from other companies that already went from on-premise to cloud. I think there's a lot of experience already, and we also used about 2 years to actually shop around at other companies, what they did, how they did it, what went good, what went wrong, and everything that went wrong is very, very beneficial because you can try to avoid it. And so I would advise everybody, just keep asking around, call organizations like me or us. When did you do a deep dive with them? And I think there's a lot of willingness to share these experiences, and so take this opportunity.
Yeah, no, that's great. And that's exactly why we're having this session today, for everyone that wants to learn from you. And I think this was a great story, and hopefully helped give a little bit of insight into the process. So I want to thank everyone again for joining. And I want to thank Michiel for presenting. That was a great presentation. I really appreciate it. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.